Hello, wrestling fans. Blake Smith from Walking the Ropes, and welcome to another episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Dynamite from Long Island, New York. To open the show, we had Adam Cole versus Dax Hardwood in the first official match of one of the Owen Hart tournaments. Hardwood opens Dynamite again against a performer more in their element than he is, but it never seems to bother him, having taken on people like CM Punk and doing very well against them. This is going to be an epic match, as these two will be honoring Owen Hart in a great way, I am sure. They start out strong, with both men trying to control and going move for move. Adam Cole starts to take control, wearing down Dax with a big neck breaker and tossing him around the ring. Hardwood, though, shows some life and comes for a sharpshooter, but they're going back and forth again. Cole sends Dax crashing into the steps and uses the post to wear down Dax on the outside. Back in the ring, Cole is just slowly moving in and is in firm control. Dax, though, explodes out and hits a series of suplexes, and then goes to the top where he goes for a flying headbutt, but Cole moves, so Dax landed on his feet, and then hits a springboard power bomb for a near fall. Hardwood is moving fast and goes for a springboard dive of some kind, but he eats a double knee, and they're just throwing everything at each other. Dax reverses a Panama Sunrise with a pile driver and gets a near fall. He then locks in a sharpshooter, and Cole fights out, sends him outside. Dax just beats the count, and Cole then locks in a sharpshooter in the center of the ring for the win. For my WPR scale, I gave that that was an amazing first match for Owen Hart. All of these matches are going to just in some way honor him, and I'm so looking forward to this. I'm really glad we're finally getting an opportunity to do this for Owen, and it's in a company that is respected by Owen Hart's widow to be able to do this with her backing it fully. Darby and Jeff talk about how similar they are and say this is not going to be a wrestling match. It is a dream match between two of the biggest risk takers in wrestling. For my WTR scale, I gave it a great. It's also revealed a little later. I don't know if exactly when. I think it's just before Jamie Hayter's match. But Jeff and Darby are in a no disqualification. I can't remember exactly how they said it, but no rules match for their tournament match, and it's going to be awesome. Hangman Adam Page joins commentary to get a better view of his next challenger, CM Punk, as he takes on John Silver. CM Punk makes his way to the ring, and he's got a New York Islanders jersey on. He's trying to play to the home crowd. No, it's a John Tavares jersey. For those who don't know, Long Island views him as a traitor for leaving New York, Long Island, for Toronto. I believe that was 4 years ago, and they still haven't gotten over it. Punk and Silver start the feeling out process, and I think Silver stuns Punk as he has to take an early breather on the outside. Silver tries to wear Punk down but fails as Punk explodes out of the corner and wears Silver down himself. Silver, though, uses his speed to start to come back, wearing down Punk with big kicks and a brainbuster. Silver goes to finish it, but Punk just kicks his head off and continues to control the match and stares right at Hangman and hits the buckshot lariat for the win. Hangman, pissed off, decides to make his way to the ring, and Punk says that Page may be taking it too personal. This is just business. Says he's now asking if he used to ask himself if he's the bad guy or if he can still do this, right? He's now asking if he's the champ, and he thinks he will be. Says Page will shake his hand when he wins, whether he's unconscious or not. My WTR scale, I gave that a great. Dr. Britt Baker talks with Toni Schiavone and all of her girls, and she doesn't care who her opponent is. She will deal with that. Tonight, Jamie will win her match and move on to the Owen and win the Owen Cup. by WPR Scale, I gave this a good. This just kind of has been not necessarily the same thing. The ending overall has been the same. Jamie's going to win her match. So it's just kind of, yeah. Dan Hausen makes his way to the ring for the first match of his AEW career against Toni Nese. He tries to curse Toni, but Mark distracts him, and so he tries to curse him. But Toni hits a big knee in the corner and pins Danhausen. I imagine the reason for this is because Danhausen has been cleared to bump, but I don't think he's been cleared to wrestle yet, like full matches, which is fair. Mark and Toni then say, are you surprised? They knew this would happen. They hit him with another big knee and then go to do it again, but Hook comes out to make the save, and they run. Danhausen then extends his hand, and Hook shakes it. It looks like we're going to get Hookhausen at some point. And again, I believe later in the night we get a tag team match confirmed. It's Danhausen and Hook versus Toni Nese, and I can't remember who his tag partner is. Might not even have been Toni Nese, I apologize, but I do remember the graphic being shown that Hookhausen is going to happen at Double or Nothing, I believe. For my WPR scale, I gave this a good. We then get the contract signing. MJF has Wardlow enter with no music again, and once he's in the ring, a vignette airs. It's mocking Dark Side of the Ring. I say mocking, but Dark Side of the Ring themselves used this as a promotion. I don't know. This was very funny. It's talking about how it uses the Dark Side of the Ring format with interviewing people. Chris Jericho is the overall voice person. It talks about how MJF has been screwed over by Wardlow, and when he really has just been screwing himself, in my opinion. But it's just, I don't know. It was very funny. I enjoyed it. If you haven't seen that, I suggest you do. MJF then makes his way to the ring to a huge ovation. He has a custom New York Islanders jersey on with his own name, and I believe he's wearing the Josh Bailey number, but I have no idea. He enjoys the crowd and then gets to business. He keeps putting over New York and himself and says that if Wardlow wins, he will release Wardlow from his contract. Tells Long Island with a huge wink to not boo Wardlow when he tries to talk. He then just doesn't let Wardlow talk. He says that he will be getting payback for him beating on Cody Rhodes, and then mentions 2024 and how Tony Khan doesn't want to talk about this. In my opinion, I really think that his willingness to speak on this is his overall willingness to re-sign with AEW in the end. He then says that one of the conditions is that he will whip Wardlow like he whipped Cody with a leather strap. And it's not going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He asks Sean, it's going to be 10 times. MJF then says Spears and Wardlow will also go in a steel cage match before their match as well, with MJF as the special guest referee. If he wins there, he will get his match against MJF, but he reminds him that he's 0-2 in steel cages. He also reveals that if Wardlow loses, he will never be allowed to sign an AEW contract. Wardlow doesn't hesitate to sign, but it can't because of the cuffs, so MJF has him uncuffed. Wardlow signs, and before they can put the cuffs back on, he beats down everyone, leaving only Spears and MJF. Spears is taken out very easily, but it's just MJF. He tries to run, he can't, and he goes for a powerbomb, but Mark Sterling makes the save. Good on you, but you go through a table for your troubles. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great. Joe talks about having to face the Joker, and he doesn't care who the Joker is. He's always facing Jokers. Sanjay Dutt says, Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh talk about the Jokers, and they say that Satnam Singh and Jay are not the Jokers. So don't worry, I imagine they're going to be getting involved in the match in some way next week. For my WPR scale, I gave that a good. We then get the FTW Championship Match. It's a little teaser for the AEW World Tag Team Championship match that we will be getting soon. They start the match out fast, moving quickly from move to move, and trying to show up one another, flipping around the ring. Stark tries to slow the pace down, but Jungle Boy doesn't like that, so he picks it right back up, hitting a huge DDT. They're countering back and forth, walking into moves from one another, and Starks tries to cheat with the title, but Swerve stops it, and Jungle Boy rolls up Ricky, and he would have won if the ref was not yelling at Swerve. Ricky then hits Rochambeau and gets the win. After the match, Cage and Luchasaurus argue with Swerve for distracting Jungle Boy, and it kind of looks like we're setting up for a three-way tag match as Keith Lee comes out to aid Swerve. By WPR Scale, I gave that a good. We then get the Jericho Appreciation Society coming out for their victory speech. Jericho talks about being born in Long Island but leaving because of the dump. He says that if you don't like it, he will throw a fireball in your face because he's the wizard. They keep talking about how sports entertainers are better than wrestlers, and if Kingston can't take care of his wife, to call Jericho. Moxley then makes his way to the ring, and Jericho opens his mouth and says there's only one of him, and forgets the Blackpool Combat Club exists, who then make their way to the ring. Eddie and Ortiz and Santana then make their way behind the JAS, and finally the JAS gets beaten down, with Regal getting the big blow on Jericho as the segment ends. My WPR Scale, I gave that a great. We then get Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter in the first women's tournament match. This match is, like I just said, the first for the Owen Cup, and they look ready to show what they are just made of. It's also the longest set match. This one was set, I believe, a month or so ago for their tournament. They start slow with holds, testing strength and everything, and Jamie starts to gain control, wearing down Toni and keeping the pace slow. Toni, though, starts to show some life, hitting a big DDT inside and then outside. Toni then flies off the top rope and is in firm control until Jamie catches her with a backbreaker. They go back and forth some more and go to the apron, where Jamie slams down Toni and then takes it to the top rope for a superplex, where Toni fights out and hits Storm Zero for the win. By WTR Scale, I gave that match a great. They did amazing, but I did kind of expect Toni. I think she's going to the finals. She might win the whole thing. Sky then talks about his match with Frankie Kazarian and says that he respects Frankie, but he also says there can only be one TNT champion. Frankie responds and says before he can even say anything, he's interrupted by Sammy and Ty. They tell him that Sky is not the man that he used to know, and Kaz says he doesn't care what they think, and tells them to basically fuck off. My WTR Scale, I gave it a great. We then get our main event of the evening, Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin in our second men's tournament, and this match will be the person who faces Adam Cole, the winner of the first match of the night. Earlier in the night, like I said, it was confirmed that this is a no DQ match, and I couldn't think of a better match. When Jeff joined AEW, this is one of the matches I'd hoped we'd get, and now it's in the match style suited to each man. Darby hits a big drop kick and then a big backdrop off to the outside to start out. He then grabs a bunch of chairs and sets them up as almost like a table, or as JR said, a coffin, right by the ring. He took too much time doing that, though, as Jeff then makes him pay, dropping him face first onto the steps. Jeff then tries to send Darby into the steps again, but he jumps them, so Jeff just follows him and jumps off of them onto Darby. They go back and forth on the outside of the ring, and then Jeff grabs his favorite toy, a 20-foot ladder, sure, we'll say that. Darby and Jeff fight over the ladder and then leave it, and Darby hits the code red for a near fall. They go back and forth, and Jeff sets Darby on the chairs and then sets up the ladder, but he took too long and has to come back down to get Darby. Darby then lays Jeff out, scales up the ladders, and he just jumps, landing on... Well, I say he lands on Jeff. He kind of lands on Jeff, but he more lands on the chairs and almost lands on the back of the chairs, breaking his back for sure. These two are stopping at nothing as Darby goes for a coffin drop on the apron after he just did that. and Jeff moves. Jeff then puts Darby on the side of the steps and goes for a swanton, but Darby moved. They're just trying to kill each other at this point. Darby drags Jeff into the ring. He hits the coffin drop, and Jeff, from out of nowhere, rolls him up with a wrestling move for the win. Jeff wins with a wrestling move in this. What? That was amazing. My WPR scale, I gave that a great. They tore the house down. Oh my god, that was an amazing match. For my overall, I gave that a great. They just killed it. My segment of the night goes to the JAS victory speech. I will also say the contract signing was tied because those were both very good. My match of the night, it's Jeff and Darby. They killed it. There's no performers of the night are Jeff and Darby. I mean, they almost killed themselves. They did amazing. That is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. Thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I'll see you in the next one.